Okay. Then we've also got the business planning session.
Right. Yeah, they'll be here for a while, so
Some people will, yeah.
people can just roll through when they're free.
Okay.
Yeah, I can do that for you. Yeah.
I think we're good. Did you get a notification?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I could definitely do all that for
Yep.
you.
And I
Yeah,
just
just like,
email you everything
Yeah.
and say this is what I want.
We can just ignore the fact that you did it once.
Did you fall down?
Well, give you a pass.
Did you fall down the one with the home
Yes. New realtor.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry.
Oh, God.
Nice to me. I have a couple more. Hey, I brought my computer. It's upstairs.
Good.
And oh, you're gonna hear that. You look sweet. I mean,
Have you
look
not
cute.
seen me in a couple of weeks?
She wasn't here last week.
I think it was a while ago.
Why wasn't I here last week? I thought I was here last week.
No, we were.
Okay, I have a tip of the day.
Right.
Don't
The meeting's not
freaking move
started
when you're
yet.
73 years old. Okay, so I have to tell you this. My husband, we're Episcopalian. So
I'm sorry.
every communion we always pray. So I said, Warren, what'd you pray about? He said, I prayed that I wouldn't kill you. I said, "Listen, I prayed that you wouldn't kill me too."
At least you both have the same prayer.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Oh, God.
So God does ask first.
Wait. Hello.
Hey, Karen.
Go ahead.
How are you?
How you doing? How's your body feeling from your accident?
Oh, my neck's still a little stiff.
What happened?
I rear-ended in an accident. Yeah, we were lucky. Taking a car and it's Friday. He's concerned that there's actual damage in the back of it.
Oh, God.
How fast were they going?
Yeah, got it in July. 50.
Oh.
I was like almost totally stopped. And he slowed down and and I guess she looked up. She's on the phone. Looked up and she must have saw it when it just swerved.
Mhm.
And I mean her car was
I said, what are these things to?
because I had that tow package on my car, and I guess the way it hit, it clipped that metal
Oh, no.
in there, and I
Mhm.
mean it just like tore her whole bumper down to the hardware on the inside. But
I'll try to.
so
I'm glad you're all right.
yeah, real stiff. So
Morning.
but yeah, every day's a little better.
And then on the brake float.
I don't know, just looked on the phone, I was like, Lord, this is worth a good rear-ended.
It was cold.
The parade was a good time.
Yeah, I want to hear about that.
It's always a good time.
It was a lot of fun.
So the float was adorable. Did we win first prize?
We did
Mm-hmm.
3 in a row.
3 in a row, yeah.
Did you
Total
happen-
domination.
Did you happen to see Kathleen tell it?
I did, and I was trying to see it. I didn't see it.
It was the theme from Friends. We are here for you, or we will always be here for you.
I'll be there for you.
That went on and on. And she had I will say, it was cute, but not as cute as ours.
The snow machine was a hit. I think
Yeah.
that
Oh, yeah?
everyone loves that snow
Yeah.
machine.
It's well worth I think it was $80 that we paid.
Totally.
Oh,
worth
that's
it.
great.
It
Kids
was
love
cold
it.
as a witch's tit, though. I can say.
It was chilly.
How cool
You know, we were rewatching some of the old Christmas videos in preparation for this year's, and we were watching the segment with you from last year, and you said that exact same thing.
It was as cold as a witch's tit last year, too.
We had to bleep you out though in the video.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Well, we did just for the sake of it. I even bleeped, I think, the word Lulu just because I wanted more beats.
Man.
A lot of cars for nobody more people.
Everyone's
Well, Paul's here, but he's got some stuff he needs to work on. Becky's here, and she's got 2 appraisal issues she needs to work on.
I need to run up and get the postcards so we can do
So
those.
we're actually losing people as we count.
We've been having pretty good turnout on the stream. I don't know if you want to call that good turnout because
Oh,
people are
really?
actually here
Okay.
Are we online
That
now?
helps.
Are we streaming?
every single week.
Yeah.
I mean, has it started?
No.
Okay. I will.
But see, that could be a bad option.
That's true.
You'd be
Nope,
like,
yes, it has
"I watch
started."
this from my couch on in my pajamas still.
It has started, so you're live.
Okay. I will behave.
You're gonna get us
Oh,
banned.
please
No
don't.
camera.
Please don't.
No camera. We tried that for a while
With that camera.
with that camera, and we got a room. This wasn't here. It was chairs, and we got a room full of empty chairs. Everybody sat over here so they wouldn't be on camera.
That's great.
Yeah.
Like a Baptist church, huh? Everybody's looking back.
So are we, just out of curiosity, are we putting a little tree up today? Is that what we're doing? What is it we're doing today? I mean, not for the meeting, but after the meeting. Karen said she needed help.
I'm not sure because I've got my grandson.
Yeah, I think
after the
just
meeting.
general
Should-
decorating the office.
Nothing takes precedence over.
The best part about being a mother is being a
By
grandmother.
about 10 o'clock, I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I know, but well, I'll have my son.
Go straight to grandparent.
It's a bigger blessing. We're going Christmas shopping, taking the baby Christmas shopping. He just turned a year old.
I wanted to tell you that,
Jackson.
you know, I did a referral to Roy Wheeler. I don't know when we'll get my check, I don't know when I'll get my check. But they,
Yeah.
I'm like
the
you.
agents
When
that
I have them, it's 100% my
Michael
attention.
Guthrie
Yeah.
referred
And when they're gone, I
were
see
outstanding.
like 3
That's
hours.
great. Yeah.
I mean, they did a really, really nice job.
They're a good company.
Yeah.
They're the first ones our broker group visited, and they're a lot like us, kind of in
Yeah.
the Charlottesville way. A
Good.
little bit less progressive.
Well, yeah, because they don't have their own photographer.
Mhm.
They had to hire a photographer.
I've
come
talked to
take
him
pictures.
about
I said,
that.
Michael, or Jim McKay
Yeah.
was the guy, but they did have a stage that brought furniture though. And then
But I tried to talk him into just, talk to your agents about if everybody just pays 1%
Yeah.
off each deal, we could have professional photography on every listing.
But I think their agent paid for a little, something, and I felt bad about it, but I had hired a painter. And we paid $16,000. And their data said, well, I want you to take the plantation shutters down. So then she texted me, she said, well, I think you need draperies. I said, whoa, wait a minute. I paid to have the plantation shutters and everything painted, so where are the plantation shutters? She said, well, they're in the basement. I said, then I think they need to be reinstalled. And she says, well, it won't cost you that much. I said, it's not gonna cost me anything, because I didn't ask you to take them down.
Yeah.
I was a little bit terse about that,
Mhm.
but rightfully so, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanksgiving was good for you.
So I asked Rebecca, because it closed last Monday, and I still haven't gotten my referral check, and she said it takes them a long time.
Oh, really?
So should I check with Michael Guthrie,
Good job.
or just wait another week?
You could shoot him an email or something. I'm sure it'll jump right up and make sure it gets done. Maybe they only cut checks twice a month or something.
Yeah, they apparently have a reload company, and everything has to go through. I said, well, what's a reload? It's a referral. But apparently that all goes through.
Yeah.
Oh,
It'll be rough this first year,
All
I'm
right.
sure, for the new normal.
Yeah, well, and I think though that, I think everybody might have a sleepover at Dad's for Christmas Eve, so that'll be fun.
We were talking about doing that at my son's, so we could do.
Oh, the
that
habitat
baby mixed up.
between Christmas and New Year's. Wow.
Mhm. So, yeah, before we get started, I'd love to hear about the parade.
It was awesome.
So yeah, we brought Kathy in right this year.
Mm-hmm. How many folks did we have out there?
Agents, we had 12. I mean, we
That's
probably had,
awesome.
15, 16
That's
walkers
great.
from the kids.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it was good.
I was on the side.
Yeah, I saw Warren, I'm like, well, where's June?
Olaf was a hit.
He was a
Uh-huh.
huge hit. And so the 2 pictures I posted were from the newsleader site
Oh,
because
nice.
they,
He drew a lot of attention.
Was that Derek?
yeah,
Oh,
Eric.
No, it was
Eric.
Eric.
Eric, who was driving the truck then?
Derek.
So your dad, I was, Warren said his love driving the truck. I said, I
and
don't
I
think so.
couldn't get Dad to come out, but yeah, so, yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun. And the float turned out cute for his,
It was really cute.
Mhm.
the design
look
starting out was
Yeah,
hard.
rough.
It was a good idea, but it was not an easy task, so.
Well,
And you
yeah.
wrapped it in plastic, I noticed.
Yeah,
Or
so it kind of makes it look like ice once
Yeah.
we put that plastic over
Mhm.
it. But it also helps to pull it. So my dad pulled it from the church because we didn't got it stored in the church barn
Mm.
to the mall in less than 15 minutes.
So he was going pretty fast. So did they all blow away?
They didn't. The plastic blew loose, and I'm like, Dad, I said, no, I didn't go for 20 miles an hour. So Derek towed it back to the church yesterday,
Mhm.
and it took him over an hour. If that tells you how fast my dad pulled.
Shame
That's
on
funny.
Buck.
So, well, you know, Dad's got to where he knows one speed is fast.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, I mean, the Snowmaker is, it's always a huge hit. And I mean, we had a great turnout from agents.
It was a big, a lot of people came out for the parade, more
Mhm.
than I think in the past year. Which
How
was
many-
really fun to see.
How many entries? Because we left at
It's
like 175.
130. I would have what?
Was it had a number 175?
Really?
Wow.
Somebody did, yeah.
Wow.
Huh. So, but yeah, I mean, it was a big, and because, you know, it wasn't as cold this year as it has been in the past couple of years.
Mhm.
Now, it's gonna be cold we have one Saturday night.
Mhm.
It's gonna be cold.
Yeah.
It's like a high of 38 that day.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be cold. But yeah, so, and we didn't give out candy canes, we gave out Tootsie Pops. Because everybody gives out candy
Charlotte.
canes, so
You going?
we had different candy. and-
Nice.
Yeah, it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, the kids enjoy
Great
it.
job. 3 in a row. That's,
Right?
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It's the snow machine, I think.
Yeah.
I really do. Everything.
It'd be funny to see if other people start copying, and there's 3 snow machines
Yeah,
next
I'm
year.
surprised that nobody else, that there were, I mean, I can't believe by now we've done, this is our 3rd year with it, and nobody's
Who's
copying
trying
it.
it? Yeah.
How many
That's
realtors
great.
were in there? Was
Morning.
Bonnie Klein in there this year?
I didn't see them,
I
I
didn't
only
see
saw, No Klein and Company was.
Oh, they were?
They were.
No, Klein and Company has lights in the park,
Okay.
and Nest in the park. Our display in the park looks cute too, I mean, instead of being so spread out, we did it close together. And it's pretty, it's very
Way to
pretty.
go.
So, over about there last night to make sure all the lights were still on.
I haven't been down there yet this year. Good Lord, I'll
Yeah.
just look
But yeah,
That's great.
so.
All right.
You're welcome to come join us Saturday night or the next
Saturday
Saturday, yeah. Street Strap Parade is the 14th.
Yeah, Harrisonburg's is Friday.
Is it?
Are you all in it? You all have a
Mm-mm.
float? Shame on
We
you.
used to do that when we were a much smaller company. You know, when we were in the other office, we did that a few years.
It's a shame.
Yeah, we haven't done
It's
it
the
in
same
years.
float, but those milk jugs will not travel.
Your dad could take them right up any one.
You can have it there, you can reassemble it.
So we got the Christmas party coming up. You should have received on Monday an Evite from Sammy. If you didn't, check your junk mail. Families are welcome. Just respond on the Evite and let us know how many people are coming. It's at the Valley Pike Farm Market. Brenda's doing food again. She and Rebecca have worked out an amazing menu. Musical entertainment will be the same as last year, so it should be a lot of fun. We have an interesting lunch and learn coming up on Thursday. You all are welcome to come up for that if you'd like. It's a local engineering company, and they're coming to talk about kind of environmental due diligence, things to look out for in a property that might tip you off that there's an oil tank buried or something that you may have to deal with. Applies to the Cottonwood guys are coming over as well because it probably applies to them more so than us even. But that should be interesting.
Will you record that? Okay, will you go to meeting this year?
Does that camera work?
I
Will we record that?
can't get up there Thursday, but
Yeah,
I'd like to.
okay, we could do that. Great idea. Great
If they're
idea.
going to be presenting off of their own computer, the recording won't be like this. It'll just be from a camera on the ceiling, so it might be hard to read their screen because it'll just be a camera showing the projector screen. But I can test it out and see if I can make it. Presentable.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can email me
Yeah,
a PowerPoint.
I'm sure they would-
presentation
they would
and
get shared.
follow along.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be there because I'll be up there for training Thursday.
Oh,
Dad's
good.
Yeah.
hearing appointment that morning, and I don't know what it's gonna take, but I don't think I can get there by 12.
Okay. And then our Habitat project, I didn't get an email out to people last week because I still don't know exactly which days. Our first work schedule or work assignment is the week in between Christmas and New Year's. If the weather is good between now and then, the schedule says the foundation will be in, and we will be putting some gravel in the crawl space, but I'm not sure which of those days it is. So as soon as I find that out, I'll send an email around to anybody who would like to jump in, can do that, and that will be the first of several. So if you can't make that, but you want to help otherwise, there'll be plenty of other chances coming up.
They interviewed the Habitat family on TV. Have you seen that?
Oh, no, I
On
haven't.
Channel 3.
No,
I think it's a
that's
lady
great.
with 4 kids or something. Yeah,
Yeah, 3 kids.
or 3 kids. Yeah.
So our business planning work group starts today for you guys right after this meeting. We did it yesterday in Harrisonburg, and it went really well. Very interesting. Paul did a really nice job, and we got a lot of good questions. It's planned to be 3 sessions, and it really is kind of a big picture look at your whole business plan and what you'd like to do next year. And then our Christmas video, you got an email that the folks from Appeal are going to be here today.
He's here.
He's here already?
Mhm.
Okay.
Nice.
So, yeah, and they're just going to
This
be
meeting and-
asking questions, just a little silly question and answer session.
Yeah, those of you who were here 3 years ago might remember the style of video we had then. And if you've seen the show The Office, it's a similar kind of interview style to that. It's just going to be a camera, shoulders up. We have a series of questions to ask, and you can give any kind of answer, truthful or sarcastic, or however you want to be. But
You can use any
just sit
language you
down,
want
take a
to,
few minutes.
because half of the fun are the bleeps. So
Right.
if you let it fly, and we'll bleep you out, and that'll make it even funnier.
But if you haven't ever worked with those guys before, they're really easy to work with. They'll mic you up and make you feel comfortable on camera. Shouldn't take long at all.
Are they going to sign people up, or is it just kind of
They're just gonna set up, and whoever wants to swing by can.
drop in whenever you want? Okay.
What kind of questions? Give us an example.
That's no fun.
No, the fun is the spontaneous
If one
answer.
person in the office would be the Grinch, who would it be? Or or what's the best kind of present to get a realtor for Christmas? Or I don't remember what kind of stuff they had. Let me.
I would say a lottery ticket.
See, I don't know y'all good enough yet.
Right.
I'm gonna plead that too.
Yeah.
That's funny. So yeah, it'll just take a few minutes each, and then they'll edit it together. This is a site that I just learned about, something that NAR has done for us, and it's got some information that some designed to be helpful for realtors, some designed to be helpful for realtors or our clients who are thinking about investing in real estate. So they call it the Financial Wellness Center. And you sign in with your realtor.com or org name and password. And they essentially have, you can just browse their categories. If you want to kind of dive in and really start making a plan, they start with a question and answer. What's your financial situation now? And then they have, and these are pretty basic questions and answers, but they're things that would be helpful if you're getting ready to meet with a financial planner. Questions that you might want to ask, things, ideas that you might want to learn about. And you just browse and click. Also helpful for our clients. So general financial wellness, budgeting, real estate investing. You can put some of these together if you have clients who are just getting into real estate investing, looking to buy their first property, wanting to do their first 1031 exchange, things like that. Again, trying to be the source of the source rather than giving them specific advice on things that are outside of our area. Retirement planning for realtors, which is very different. We don't have a retirement plan. You are building a business, but unless you really look at it as building a business, when you're ready to retire, you don't have a business to sell somebody. If you prepare right, then you may have a business that would be worth something to another realtor coming up. And there's some guidance about that type of thing here. What are different types of solo 401ks? Again, not real in-depth advice, but things that will get you started, and then you can get with a professional.
I think that's how Kathleen Kelly, she bought Ellen Durskin's. Remember, she went to work for Ellen Durskin, and Ellen Durskin then retired to Glasgow, whatever that little town down near Chesapeake. And then Kathleen took it over, and I think she had to buy her out, but you know.
I think you'll find with some teams that don't use their name, that some of our teams, they specifically don't use their name so that they can at some point sell the business and all the contacts and the reputation they built up and everything else to somebody else, maybe younger team members, give them a chance to buy in as the founding folks retired, that kind of thing. So
That makes sense.
and there's some good stuff about that on this page as well. Yeah, I mean, that's something definitely that everybody should have in mind, especially as you're getting closer to retirement, is to start a year or so out transitioning all your folks to somebody else, and then have a referral arrangement with that person or that team or however you're doing it. So real simple, it's www.financialwellness.realtor. .realtor now is a extension, is that the right word? Like .com or .org. So it's not,
Okay.
it's
Financialwellness.realtor?
not .realtor, yep.
Okay.
So I saw an interesting article on fair housing and thought it would be a good time. We should, it's something we should talk about a couple times a year, because as you'll see by some of the case examples and things that testers do, it can be a very fine line, and sometimes our own internal biases can get us in trouble. And the article starts with this little case study, and it's kind of an exercise in exploring whether or not we have any of our own internal biases. So I'm going to kind of talk through this beginning of a situation that happened, and I want you to picture the people I'm talking about. You're the realtor, and you're in this situation. Picture the people as we're going through this situation. So your best client refers their good friends to you who are a couple, and you're showing them homes. You see an open house that's a new listing. It's kind of a well-known home. It's owned by a local CEO, and it's new to the market. You hadn't seen it yet, but the house is open, so you go in. Clients love the house, but you overhear another couple telling the listing agent that they love it too, and they can make a cash offer because their investments have done really well. So you've got all these characters rolling. So the exercise is, in your mind, those folks that you were picturing, your friend and your clients, and the competing buyers who were well off because their investments did well, and the seller who was a local CEO, what did those folks look like? Were any of them a minority? Was the CEO a woman or a man? Were the couples a married man and woman? As we picture situations like that and things that describe folks, often we picture folks who are just like us, and we tend to think along those terms. And sometimes that can get us in trouble with advertising or the way we behave. We got called on the carpet in a subdivision we were advertising years ago, right before the crash. We had these big, fancy, professionally done publications, and a buyer who was there who was a minority, very high-end subdivision, and she pointed out to us that there were no minorities in our advertising. Had she been a tester or somebody who wanted to make a fight out of it, we would have been something. We didn't even think about it. All of us had reviewed that stuff, None of us thought about it because nobody in the room was a minority. So that's the kind of thing that we have to be aware of.
See, that's interesting because I'm old and white.
Mhm.
That was an interesting exercise for me because everybody in my scenario
Mhm.
was white.
Probably most of us.
Yeah.
Mhm. And a lot of folks, well, a lot of men would have pictured that the CEO as a male.
Yeah.
So there are a couple really interesting. She talks about a study that that was done among realtors. This was the one that made the news recently, showing that there was steering going on in some part of Long Island. Folk real estate agents were very actively steering minorities to minority-centric kind of neighborhoods and away from predominantly white neighborhoods. So this study showed all kinds of unequal treatment. And then she starts talking about, some real life, some testers, and we have been hit by testers. They never end up telling you. But we have over the years been hit a few times by buyers who just seem a little bit off. They'll keep the agent on the phone for an hour asking all kinds of questions about things we shouldn't talk about, like schools and crime rates and where's a good neighborhood, and I want my kids to be in a safe neighborhood, or I'm out of town a lot and I want my wife in a safe neighborhood, and trying 20 different ways to get you to say something, and then they never call back to look at a house. And some of these are a little bit nuts, but they're kind of extreme examples, I guess, to get us in the right frame of mind. The biggest, most important thing is, do you always do the same thing for every buyer? Do you show them the same number of homes? Do you put forth the same effort? Do you show them the same kind of courtesies? If you're out with some clients all day and your habit is to buy them lunch, you better do that all the time. And I think if we just stay in that mindset, and I think most of us do, then you can kind of stay out of trouble. Don't ask about family status. This was a real case here, number 3. This is one that's really nuts. How do you greet clients who come into your office? Do you offer coffee? Do you offer them coffee or some other kind of refreshment? Real case, some years ago, a company had an agent who offered a cup of coffee to some folks who came in. They happened to be testers. They were white. Somewhere down the line, a black couple came in, also testers. Different agent from the same company didn't offer them coffee. They sued for $200,000.
That's ridiculous.
Or
Did
they
they
fined
win?
them. I don't know.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. So, but here's the fascinating thing, where somebody's internal biases got the company in trouble. The agent who met the white couple was a heavy coffee drinker. So it was very natural for him to offer coffee. He would expect everybody wants a cup of coffee. The agent who met with the black couple was not a coffee drinker. And so he didn't offer coffee to anybody, but they were two different agents, same company, and the company got in trouble. Now, I think that's a really, really, really extreme example,
Yes.
but to make a point. Advertising and marketing. As I mentioned, if we do anything that involves stock photography or talent on TV commercials or anything like that, we now make sure we have a mix of races and ages. We also got called on the carpet. This was another thing that was totally unintentional, but our piece on wire fraud and being careful about that. We just happened to use a photograph that we had from a couple years ago, where we had hired a couple to come in and just take all kinds of stock photography at a model home, and they happened to be older folks. And one of our agents was going over that piece with an older couple, and he said, "Oh, I see you got the old folks in the picture because we're the ones that get fooled, right?" And that wasn't our intent at all, but that's how they took it.
Did we get sued over that?
No. They were almost making a joke out of it, but it was just one of those moments where
I mean, it's the truth.
once somebody points it out, gosh, maybe we should have thought of that. So when you're advertising your properties or a neighborhood, the key is to talk about features of whatever's for sale, not your opinion of who would like it. So instead of saying great for joggers, you could say near a 6-mile paved exercise trail. Because you don't have to be a jogger to enjoy that. Somebody in a wheelchair could enjoy a paved trail. So somebody might take great for joggers as being somehow exclusive.
Probably just not saying anything anymore.
It gets to the point where you just want to describe the house or the property and not make any kind of call about who might or might not like it. You know, somebody brought up yesterday, we were talking about, you know, you could say walking distance to downtown is fine. Walking distance to the synagogue is not. And Ed's shaking his head, and Paul also brought up in the meeting yesterday, you don't even want to say walking distance.
That's right.
Because that might be offensive to handicapped
I'm
folks.
thinking someone could pick
Right.
up the word master and say.
Yeah, so why can you not say master bedroom?
You can.
You can, you can.
But I'm saying
Yeah.
somebody could pick out that word master and say that takes it back to the slave days. And
Right.
I
say
kind
that.
of feel weird when I
anything.
say it.
Yeah.
To a black couple.
I never even thought that's where it came from. Like I didn't even think
Right.
about the connotation.
I mean,
Right.
anything can be
Right.
misconstrued to be offensive anymore.
Right. It can. So we just have to be careful. And, you know, the people, Elizabeth, and when she's doing the ads and things, is on the lookout for that kind of stuff. And there are some, I'm not sure if Realtor.com polices that. MRIS, as an MLS, are now Bright. Their computer, if somebody puts something in remarks that it thinks might be a fair housing violation, the computer somehow has a way to scan for that and will notify the agent that something has to be changed. Images in your marketing, we talked about that. This one, everybody's guilty of. Do you follow up with every online call, sign call, or open house lead in the same way, with the same energy? No, we don't. There are always times where you've got too many to return, or you have to prioritize which ones to call first, and you make that judgment call based on a whole lot of things. And that, depending on the pattern of how you make that call or who you follow up with or don't follow up with consistently, that can be a problem. And they do a whole lot of testing over the phone, where they will have folks of various different accents call and see what kind of responses they get from the same company. Again, I don't think we have a problem. All of our agents are going to follow up with calls. But that's something that, you know, not really realistic. I don't know if anybody can answer that question honestly, that yes, I do follow up with every single lead in the exact same way. This was interesting. Do you ever describe your clients to other agents, maybe as when you're presenting an offer, in ways that might mention their age or their ethnicity or their family status? And you're probably doing it in a way that you're trying to be helpful. You're trying to paint a picture of these wonderful clients of yours that the seller will want to sell to them. But what if you mention something that the seller doesn't like, and now you're going to intentionally harm your client? We have a lot of agents who, when it's competitive, as it often is, they'll encourage their clients to send a letter, make it very, very personal. One of our agents, well, what if they have a foreign name? And the seller doesn't like that. Not saying that you shouldn't do it, but it's a real question to consider. One of our agents has his clients write a letter, then he puts it in his computer and he puts in some family pictures and things that they've given him. And he had a minority family from another country, and he was putting this all together and came to me and said, well, do you think this is a good idea or not? Well, I don't know who I'm dealing with on the other end. What if it's a person who doesn't want a minority family in the neighborhood? Am I hurting my client? I don't know that that'd be a fair housing violation, but I think in terms of what's best for your client, it's a tough question. It's a tough question.
Yeah, I don't like those letters.
You don't like the letters? Why not?
I don't know, I think it's just added whatever. You know, I got, when I was doing Isle Avenue, they sent us one and they wanted us to feel sorry for them. Well,
Well,
I
yeah.
don't wanna feel sorry for them, you know? Either pay the price or go
Yeah,
somewhere else.
yeah, that's not a good strategy.
Yeah.
Right. But they very often are a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Because it's an emotional thing. I mean, residential real estate's really, really emotional. What do you do if your client's behavior violates fair housing laws? There's not much we can do other than to tell them they can't do that, whatever it is they want to do. And they certainly can't ask us to do that. And if they persist, we have to break the relationship. We can't break the law for them. I think that's it. This is this lady, Bernice Ross, wrote this article. If you ever see her name in things that you might get in your email or articles, she's fantastic. A lot of the stuff I show you here happens to be from her. And I get it all through Inman, but I guess she writes for them a lot, and she's really, really good. So, just a little fair housing refresher. The next thing I want to try, this video didn't work yesterday, but I want to see if it will today for some reason. And this somehow relates, and this is, what do we say when our clients ask us which are the best schools?
You can find that on realtor.com.
Let's see if this works today. This is a video from Virginia Realtors. That wouldn't work. Why would that be? I don't know. There we go. I got no volume. Well, I guess we're just not meant to watch this video. So, what's the answer? When a client, all of us have been asked that question. We recently had an agent in Harrisonburg get fired because he wouldn't give his client a direct answer to that question. The guy said, "I want you to tell me what schools."
I always answer with, everybody has an opinion on what's the best schools. I get calls saying I have to be in this school district, and other calls saying I have to be in a different school district. I said, so it's all opinion, and I don't know which is best.
Perfect. Because what's important, if you ask me, what's important to me might be student-teacher ratio. That might not matter as much to the client as the test scores or the football team or the overall number of students in the school. So yeah, that's a great answer.
Isn't there a website that we're supposed to direct them to about the schools, like for
Yeah,
Lansborough?
county schools
Yeah.
or city schools all have a website, and they have all the
Their
demographics
ranking,
there, all their test scores and student-teacher ratios and pictures of the school. So send them there, and then encourage them to visit the schools. You know,
Is it on realtor.com or Zillow? I get them mixed
Probably
up
both.
sometimes because it'll have like the school scores,
Mhm,
you know, like
mhm.
5 and 8.
Yep, probably both of them.
Yeah. So I mean, I encourage them to look at that. I don't try to steer either way. I mean, I know that I do mention in my advertising Wilson School District or something like that.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it is what it is. So
Yeah, that's just
I'm not in
factual.
trouble.
Right,
Okay.
that's just factual.
Alright.
Now, what you wouldn't want to say, the highly desirable Wilson School District, maybe.
But it's
Because
okay
if-
to ask.
Because if that was predominantly white and the next door was predominantly minority, that could be a problem.
But it's okay to ask them if there's a school district they want to stay in.
Absolutely, because like Ed said, a lot of people come into it having that preference for whatever reason. Maybe it's where they went to school.
Exactly. Love it.
Absolutely. So yeah, check out the stats online. Go visit the schools. Schools are happy to sit and talk to you. Drive through neighborhoods close to the school. See if you like the feeling you get. Same thing when they ask about what's a good neighborhood. Different things to different people. If we're considering a house here, come by at different times of the day and see if you like what you see.
I have my customers, if they'll do it, meet their neighbors before we write a contract. This last one, I went over and met the neighbor, because they said,
Really?
well, we're not comfortable doing it, so I went over and met the neighbor. He was pretty cool, I mean, you know,
Mm-hmm.
got the information on the internet, and
your deal though too sometimes.
Well, it should, I mean,
Yeah, depending on what the neighbor's like.
I wouldn't want,
Yes.
I wouldn't wanna live next to somebody that has, orange hair and pierced nose and stuff.
Oh,
like
so you're
that.
actually checking out the neighbors for your clients?
Well, I would be, no, for me, if I were doing it,
Right.
like in North Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
I said, who are the neighbors over here? Do you know anything about them? They weren't home, so I couldn't find it,
Mhm.
meet them, but.
You didn't just try to find an unlocked door and go in
No, I
and check them out? Waiting for them when they come home?
They'll know me as soon as I
Right, right.
They'll probably move.
I don't want to live beside some old lady with gray hair. With foul language.
Right, yeah. Yeah, your neighbors are gonna be in for an earful. The first time they hear you with your windows open or something. So, and again, I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, if you're showing in Rockingham, school districts are a real hot topic right now. There is a big redistricting that's been proposed. Keith, whose wife is a principal, says it's pretty much a done deal. They're having public meetings to gather input, but the wheels are in motion and it's gonna happen. And that moves, especially if you're showing in Grottos, that moves all the South River kids who used to go to Spotswood High School, which is, a lot of people want to be in that high school because the wealthiest neighborhoods in Rockingham feed into that high school. Those kids are now going to go to East Rockingham in Elkton, which is a new, huge, wonderful school, but to some people that's a negative. So that's a big deal. Also in the northwest part of the county, they're shuffling around some elementary schools and probably closing Linville Eden Elementary School, which has now started a huge, well, a grassroots movement among the parents of the kids who go to that really small school.
It's always hard when they start to rezone or redistrict. I know it's necessary, but
Yep.
it's like, especially with Wilson and Hugh King Castle, they've moved those lines in like 5 years, like a couple times.
Oh,
And it's
really?
just, it's
Yeah.
frustrating for the kids that are going there.
It's hard on families, it's
Yeah.
hard on, if it changes distance, it changes childcare timing and all getting to work and all kinds of things. So, yeah, if you're showing up there, be aware that you should,
I think it can
Make
affect
your clients
Valley,
aware
look
of
at Anna Maria, that in Waynesboro, say that elementary school now is being paired,
Mhm.
which, I guess I can't say anything, but, it used to be a Westwood, which is,
Mhm.
what everybody wants.
Mhm.
So, and I think, you see more well, of course, now old people are moving in there, so that's okay,
Mhm.
but.
I think it's slowed down their
Mhm.
sales.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Were they county before?
No, it was city,
Oh, okay.
but they went to Westwood,
Okay.
Mhm.
and now they go to William Perry.
Hmm.
So that's a biggie.
Yeah.
The Harrisonburg City Schools versus Rockingham have some of that same issue. The Harrisonburg schools, I don't know if it's still true, at least a year or so ago it was true that there were more native languages spoken in Harrisonburg City Schools than any other district in Virginia because of all the refugees that are there. And there's a huge Hispanic population, there's a decent sized African American population, and for some buyers, that's awesome. They come in saying, I want to be in a diverse neighborhood, I want to be in a diverse school. For other folks, they absolutely will not. They will move out of the city when their kids reach school age because they don't want that kind of situation. So it's all about what's important to the buyers.
So don't you guys have a lot of Russians?
We do.
Yeah. I
We're a
mean,
lot of Russians and Eastern Europeans.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
El
churches
Salvador,
just
too.
bring in a lot. Yep.
I mean, the amount of diversity that we have, because Aaron being in Harrisonburg, it always just shocks me, because down here I don't get hardly any of those referrals, but up there, I mean, in a common day, we can talk to an Iraqi, an El
Mhm.
Salvadorian, somebody from Mexico. I mean, it's just, it's so,
Mhm.
I think it's amazing.
It
I
is
love
amazing. Yeah, for a town that size, it's
Yes,
incredible.
yeah.
How do you handle when somebody speaks Spanish and English very lightly? Do you refer them to somebody, or do you try to understand what they're saying?
It's pretty tricky. Oftentimes they know how to navigate and they'll bring someone with them. And then we also have a lot of agents who are bilingual, so the agent will come with them and try to help the situation. but we literally, Aaron's mother-in-law is from Puerto Rico, so she speaks Spanish, and Aaron has had to call her
Mhm.
and be like, Narita, can you translate this? Because there was just no way they were
Right.
able to make it.
Oh, it's a huge
But-
problem, and we
Yeah.
very often see kids doing the translation.
Yes.
Kids 10 and
Yeah.
12 and 13-year-old
We did it at
kids.
the dental office
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
They would pick on that too when I was there, saying that you can't have the children to translate because they may translate, or you can't have a family member translate because they may not tell them something that they need to know,
Mhm.
and you would have no idea. So we had started trying to just hire interpreters so it's not biased of any way.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's a thing too, because you could end up getting in trouble because they've told you something that you did never know.
Right.
So,
Mention that device you got.
Yeah, I haven't tested it out, but I just recently bought.
So do we have anybody in this office that speaks Spanish fluently?
We do.
In Harrisonburg, we have Cindy Nevin is fluent, and John Anderson gets by pretty well. And I just got this thing. And if it works the way it says it does, it pairs with an app on your phone that I haven't downloaded yet. And I just tell it which language. So like I would tell the app Spanish, and I talk in English and press a button and it comes out Spanish.
Oh
That
my
is
God.
Or-
And vice versa. You
Or
set
I
it
hold
on
it
the
to
table.
you and you talk Spanish to me and I press the button and it comes back to me in English.
Oh my God.
So if it works, we'll put one in every office.
Did you get that from Amazon?
I got it on, it was some silly Facebook ad and it was cheap enough, I just took a shot. So if it works, we'll
Oh,
put
that's
one
cool.
in every
Right.
office.
Very
Yeah.
Cool.
How are you gonna know if it's translating properly?
Get one of the people who speak Spanish, or, you know, we've got 2 Russian speakers, we have a Kurdish agent now. We do have a Spanish speaker who is finishing up the class and getting ready to take the test. He'll be coming down to Harrisonburg, hopefully.
How expensive was
but-
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think things like this, or just it'll, you know, apps that will just totally live on your cell phone. I think that day is coming pretty soon. Like kind of the Star Trek Universal Translator, you just put a little thing in your ear and talk, and everybody hears each other properly. So
they,
That is
they
very
do
cool.
have phone
Yep.
numbers you can call and have those kind of, put them on speaker and you speak and they translate
Oh, really?
to them and then, yeah.
you pay for that?
We did that, yeah, we did that at the dental office too, but, they ended up doing something different, just hiring interpreters.
Wow. Yeah, we had one. We have a lot of Asian clients. It seems like too. We had a Chinese lady who didn't speak any English, and had all her money in China. So for her, it was a cash deal, and for her verification of funds, she sent a page of Chinese writing from her bank. And the agent
Yeah.
was very clever and ended up calling JMU and found somebody over there who spoke Chinese that verified the person really had money. But yeah, just hilarious. All right, I don't think any of that applies to you guys. Oh, Karen's gone. Anybody know of any GAR stuff going on that we need to talk about?
Of what?
Local association stuff. Oh, I guess dues are the deadline's the 15th. If you hadn't turned those in yet.
Aren't they had an earlier deadline here though?
The third.
The
So,
third?
yes.
That was yesterday. Yeah, I did grab a bunch from Jo and brought them up yesterday, but she said that was not all.
No.
So
So I
if you're in
think-
the not all section,
I'm supposed to
Get
notify
Get that
you
done.
that I'm not renewing, right? Since I won't be here, so I have, it's something I read that said you're supposed to notify your broker if you're not.
right? You're not renewed, right? Because we talked about
But
you'll
we'll
still
just
get the
do
money.
referrals,
Yeah.
you tell me whatever I do for referrals.
Well, right. So you will not renew your realtor membership, and then with the state, you'll transfer the license to Harrisonburg Referral Realty. So
Okay,
you'll
so
still be an active agent,
Okay,
but you won't be a realtor. You won't have realtor fees, MLS fees, lockbox fees.
so do I do that or does Joe do that for me? Transfer my thing to the Harrisonburg referral company?
She can print out the application for you. Rebecca could help her with that, but yeah,
Oh, I
you're
can
going to need to
just
fill it
email
out and
back
sign
then,
it.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. Listings. Anybody wants to talk about? Oh, Karen's back. Any local announcements or association stuff you want to mention?
association.
Everybody set on the upcoming parades?
Yeah, so I've gotta pick up a toy and go pick up our Waynesboro package, and I'll have more information on that one. The next Saturday when you just show up and that's your spot in line, for that. And then, we're gonna do our Christmas party next Thursday night here versus that Saturday night,
Mm-hmm.
because so many people have to be out of town
Mm-hmm.
for that. So, yeah, our open house is next Wednesday.
Right.
Yeah.
So, everybody's gotten an invite, thanks to Sammy, and we mailed the affiliate ones yesterday. Check this list and make sure who you do business with. If they're not on this list, or if you just wanna do a pop by, there's extra cards here. You just need to get these out like in the next day or so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and if you're gonna take it to somebody not on the list, go just write on here who you're taking it to, so that one person doesn't get 10 invites. Or whatever.
So you're leaving that list upstairs with Joe?
Yeah, yeah,
Or passing around?
either way. So, but yeah, just make sure everybody's got them on there.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it with.
I'm sure it's gonna be crowded. All right. Listings? Gosh, nobody in Harrisonburg had any either. I think we've gone to sleep for the holidays.
They're framing the new house in Waynesboro. The inside walls are being framed now. And show you the difference in what the finishes are
Mm-hmm.
versus the house until the 13th of this month. After the 13th, it closes, it's over.
Right.
Where's the house?
It is Sherwood. It's a mile from Oakland Parkway on the left. It's under construction now.
Okay, and what are they gonna sell it for?
194.
And who's the builder?
It's CRS. Can't remember shit.
Oh, I love that, can't remember shit.
I figured you'd like that.
So how big, what's the square footage?
It's 1,400 square feet. It has a full front covered porch, deep enough for real rocker chairs. A nice big deck on the back. It has alley parking in the back. Has a beautiful tree, a mature tree. It's 125 feet deep, so it's a nice big, deep lot.
Mm-hmm.
The house beside it's being renovated. He's gonna put it on the market for $220.
How many, are they building more? Are they just building it coming this way, or is it just a few new builds?
All the lots that we've been able to find are being built on or being, they're being permitted now. So once we close on the lot, we'll start building.
Okay.
Those are probably 8 more. There's
Okay.
gonna be 6 on, let's see, White Ridge Road, and 2 on South Winchester, if we make that happen.
So if you go down Oakland Parkway from here,
From here,
you
take a right on
Sherwood,
Sherwood,
and it's a mile
1
down.
mile on the left.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Desperate buyers? Upcoming stuff?
I have desperate buyers, just can't find it.
What do they need?
They need something under 200. We went and looked at the perfect house for them last night, and they thought the living room was probably 2 feet too small, so they're gonna pass it out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that I think
Show
I've
them this
shown
house.
them 80. They will only
They don't wanna be in
they will
Waynesboro.
only look in Grottos or up 340 Passage.
Okay.
They're very difficult ones.
Yeah.
The Swope house is coming soon. I hope. They've been 2 months getting it ready for
Mm-hmm.
pictures. And I'm going out there Saturday sometime to walk the house with them, place the furniture where
Mhm.
Monica told us to put everything. They've got most of the stuff out of the house. There's a couple of repairs that need to be done just to eliminate those objections right off the
Mhm.
bat. And it'll be 280 or 285.
Okay.
I've got one coming in Waynesboro that can be shown now, but we're waiting to get it declared so we can take pictures. Mom's in a
Mhm.
nursing home. Okay,
Mhm.
so I'm left to getting that done.
Mhm.
It's on Battery, 912 Battery, which is off Chase, which is off Oakland Parkway in that area.
It's in Charleston Park.
Yes, Charleston Park, right. And it's gonna be 235, and it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, about 1,500 square feet.
Mhm.
It's a nice house, beautifully maintained, it's not that old,
Mhm.
so
Is it new or old?
it's new.
New house?
Well, I mean, it's not brand new.
Mhm.
No, but I mean, it's a Charleston Park original.
Yes,
Okay.
I guess, okay.
No, Charleston Park, they're newer construction.
Yeah,
It's
this-
not the old, like going on
No,
Chase.
Yeah, not
Right,
the
Yeah,
no,
you
old
no.
turn in there, it's all,
you turn
I mean,
off
like in the
Chase.
last
Yeah.
8 to 10 years, yeah.
Mhm. But it's a nice place, but I have to get it ready to get it on the MLS for photos.
Mhm.
Can't do that yet. Probably the end of the month. But if anybody's interested in a place like that, we can show it.
Okay. All right. Business development class starts at 10 o'clock. Bring your computers. It's a working session. See
Okay,
you
how
then.
about on
Thanks.
Monday? Karen, are you gonna ride with me? Do you wanna go to Coach's Corner?
I can't, I've got an appointment that night.
Okay, so I'm gonna stay in Charlottesville. So
I know, you got a hot date.
I do. Tell me.
Are you?
Sherry, are you gone?